In the annals of military history, few weapons have transformed warfare as profoundly as the assault rifle. And at the heart of this revolution stands one remarkable firearm, the Sturmgewehr 44, or StG 44. This is the story of the weapon that changed everything, the first modern assault rifle and the father of the legendary AK-47. The StG 44 was born from desperation, engineered in secrecy, and deployed in the final years of World War II. It represented a paradigm shift in infantry tactics and firepower. Today we'll explore how this revolutionary weapon came to be, why it was so effective, and how its legacy shaped every modern assault rifle that followed. To understand the StG 44, we must first travel back to the muddy trenches of World War I. The Great War exposed a fundamental problem in infantry weapons design, a problem that would haunt military planners for decades. Infantry soldiers carried bolt-action rifles like the German Gewehr 98. These were powerful, accurate weapons, firing full-power rifle cartridges effective at 800 meters or more. But there was a critical flaw. In the chaos of trench warfare, most combat occurred at ranges under 300 meters. Soldiers needed rapid-fire capability, not long-range precision. The bolt-action rifle required manual cycling between each shot, too slow when enemies were charging across no man's land. Machine guns provided devastating firepower, but they were heavy, required crews of multiple soldiers, and consumed ammunition at unsustainable rates. What was missing was a weapon that bridged the gap, something with the firepower of a machine gun, but the portability of a rifle. In the 1920s and 1930s, weapons designers experimented with submachine guns, compact automatic weapons firing pistol cartridges. The German MP-18 Italian Beretta and American Thompson were revolutionary, but they too had limitations. Pistol cartridges were effective only at very close range, typically under 100 meters. They lacked penetration and stopping power. While submachine guns excelled in close-quarters urban combat, they were inadequate for general infantry use. The answer, some visionaries realized, lay in the ammunition itself. What if you could design a cartridge that was more powerful than a pistol round, but less powerful than a full rifle cartridge? An intermediate cartridge that would be effective at combat ranges of 300, 400 meters, while allowing controllable automatic fire. Enter Hugo Schmeisser and the engineers at companies like StG Haenel. Throughout the 1930s, German weapons designers quietly explored this revolutionary concept, even as the Wehrmacht remained committed to traditional bolt-action rifles. The Kurz cartridge generated enough energy to be lethal at combat ranges, could penetrate helmets and light cover, yet allowed a soldier to maintain accuracy during fully automatic fire. It was lighter than full-power cartridges, meaning soldiers could carry more ammunition, a crucial advantage. In 1940, the German army issued specifications for a new automatic rifle chambered in the 7.9 2x33 Mir Kurz cartridge. Two companies responded, Haenel and Walter. Both submitted prototypes designated the Maschinenkarabiner 42 or MKB 42, Machine Carbine 1942. The Haenel design, primarily engineered by Hugo Schmeisser, showed the most promise. It featured a gas-operated system, where expanding gases from the fired cartridge drove a piston that cycled the action. This allowed for reliable automatic fire. Field testing began in late 1942 on the Eastern Front. Soldiers who tested the MKB-42 were enthusiastic. The weapon provided unprecedented firepower for individual soldiers. They could engage enemies at intermediate ranges with devastating effect and switch to automatic fire when enemies closed in. However, There was a problem, a big one. Adolf Hitler himself opposed the project. Hitler, influenced by his World War I experiences, believed in the superiority of the traditional bolt-action rifle and the general-purpose machine gun. He saw no need for this intermediate weapon and ordered the program terminated in 1943. But the engineers and forward-thinking officers knew better. The Eastern Front was a brutal crucible, and German forces needed every advantage they could get, so they made a bold decision. They would continue development in secret. To disguise the project, they redesignated the weapon as the MP-43, Maschinenpistole 43, or Submachine Gun 1943. This bureaucratic sleight of hand suggested it was merely an improved submachine gun, not the revolutionary automatic rifle Hitler had forbidden. Production began in limited numbers. The improved design incorporated feedback from combat testing. The receiver was simplified, made from stamped steel rather than expensive machined parts, crucial for the wartime mass production. By mid-1943, several thousand MP-43 rifles were in the hands of combat troops, who universally praised the weapon. Reports from the front lines were so positive that eventually they reached Hitler's attention. In 1944, Hitler was presented with combat reports and demonstrations of the MP-43. Impressed by its effectiveness and realizing his generals had defied his orders, Hitler famously became an enthusiastic supporter, but he demanded a new name, one that reflected the weapon's revolutionary nature. Hitler personally coined the term Sturmgewehr, literally storm rifle or assault rifle. Thus the MP-43 became the MP-44, and then officially the Sturmgewehr 44, or StG 44. Hitler proclaimed that this weapon would provide German forces with a decisive advantage and ordered mass production. The name Sturmgewehr would become the template for assault rifles worldwide, from the Russian Automat to the English assault rifle to countless other languages. Hitler's propaganda name had inadvertently created an entire category of weapons. Let's examine the StG 44's technical specifications in detail. The rifle weighed 5.22 kilograms loaded, heavier than a bolt-action rifle but manageable for infantry. Overall length was 940 millimeters, with a barrel length of 419 millimeters. The weapon fed from a detachable 30-round curved magazine, the curve necessary to accommodate the tapered 7.92x33 mm Kurz cartridges. This magazine capacity gave soldiers tremendous sustained firepower without frequent reloading. The StG 44 featured a selector switch, allowing the shooter to choose between semi-automatic fire, 1 shot per trigger pull, or fully automatic fire. The cyclic rate in automatic mode was approximately 500, 600 rounds per minute, fast enough for suppressive fire, slow enough to remain controllable. The gas operating system was simple and robust. Gas tapped from the barrel drove a piston rearward, which cycled the rotating bolt. This tilting bolt design locked securely during firing, then unlocked as the action cycled. The system proved remarkably reliable even in the harsh conditions of the Eastern Front: mud, snow, extreme temperatures. Perhaps most revolutionary was the manufacturing. The receiver was made from stamped and welded steel, much faster and cheaper to produce than traditional machined parts. This allowed Germany to produce over 450,000 StG 44 rifles before the war's end, despite Allied bombing and resource shortages. The StG 44 entered widespread combat service in late 1944, primarily on the Eastern Front against Soviet forces, but also in the West during the Battle of the Bulge and the defense of Germany. Combat reports revealed the weapon's devastating effectiveness. In defensive positions, StG 44 armed soldiers could lay down withering automatic fire, breaking up Soviet infantry assaults that would have overwhelmed troops armed with bolt-action rifles, elite units, Fallschirmjäger, paratroopers, Panzergrenadiers mechanized infantry, and select Waffen-SS formations received priority for StG 44 allocation. In urban combat during the Battle of Berlin, the weapon proved ideal for close-quarters fighting in rubble and ruined buildings. Soviet troops who encountered the StG 44 were impressed and alarmed. Intelligence reports urgently recommended developing a similar weapon. The Soviets captured thousands of StG 44 rifles and studied them intensively. This examination would have profound consequences. As Germany's situation became desperate in 1945, manufacturers produced Kriegsmodell, or war emergency versions of the StG 44. These featured even more simplified construction, cruder stampings, cheaper finishes, wooden parts replacing metal where possible. Engineers also experimented with advanced variants. The Vampire system mounted an infrared night vision scope and infrared searchlight on the StG 44, creating one of World War II's first infantry night vision weapons. Though only produced in tiny numbers, it represented cutting-edge technology. One of the most bizarre variants was the Krumlauf, a curved barrel attachment designed for shooting around corners or from inside armoured vehicles. While ingenious, the curved barrel wore out rapidly and was largely impractical. Still, it demonstrated the versatility engineers saw in the StG 44 platform. By May 1945, Germany had surrendered. The StG 44 had come too late and in too few numbers to change the war's outcome. Yet approximately 450,000 had been manufactured, a remarkable achievement given wartime conditions. Allied forces captured vast stocks of StG 44 rifles. American, British and French weapons experts examined them closely, recognizing the revolutionary design. But the Western Allies were slow to adopt the assault rifle concept, remaining committed to full-power rifle cartridges for another decade. The Soviets, however, moved quickly. In 1945, the Red Army ordered development of a new automatic rifle for standard issue. The specifications were clear. Chambered for an intermediate cartridge similar to the German 7.9 2x33 SRM Kurz. Select fire capability. Simple construction for mass production. A young Soviet tank commander and self-taught weapons designer named Mikhail Kalashnikov submitted a design. The influence of the StG 44 was unmistakable. The AK-47, adopted by the Soviet Union in 1947, bears striking similarities to the StG 44. Both fire intermediate cartridges, both use gas-operated systems with rotating bolts, both feature curved magazines and select fire capability, and both were designed for mass production using stamped steel. Did Kalashnikov copy the StG 44? The truth is nuanced. Kalashnikov certainly studied captured StG 44 rifles. Every Soviet weapons designer did. The basic concept and operating principles were clearly influenced by German research. However, the AK-47's internal mechanism differs significantly from the StG 44. Kalashnikov's bolt design, trigger group and overall construction are distinctly Soviet solutions. The AK-47 is simpler, more robust, and even easier to manufacture than its German predecessor. It's most accurate to say the StG 44 proved the assault rifle concept, and the AK-47 perfected it. The StG 44 was the father. The AK-47 was the son who surpassed the father, eventually becoming the most produced firearm in history, with over 100 million manufactured. The StG-44's influence extended far beyond the AK-47. By the 1960s, every major military power had adopted or was developing an assault rifle based on the same principles: intermediate cartridge, select fire capability, high-capacity magazine, and mass-production construction. The American M16, the Belgian FN-FAL, the British L-85, the Chinese Type 56, the Israeli Galil, all are descendants of the revolutionary concept pioneered by the StG 44. Today, the assault rifle is the standard infantry weapon worldwide. The concept proven by the StG 44 in 1944 remains fundamentally unchanged, a testament to how revolutionary and correct the design was. Original StG 44 rifles are now prized collector's items and museum pieces. In the United States, transferable examples, those legally registered before 1986, can sell for $25,000 to $40,000 or more. Museums worldwide display the StG 44 as a pivotal artifact of military history. Collectors prize examples with clear manufacturer markings: Haenel, Irma, Steyr, date codes, and Waffenamt, ordnance stamps. Each rifle tells a story: where it was made, when it was produced, which unit it might have served with. Preservation efforts ensure that future generations can study this revolutionary weapon. The StG 44 represents not just German wartime engineering, but a fundamental turning point in the history of infantry combat. The Sturmgewehr. 44 was born in the chaos of World War II, developed in secrecy against Hitler's orders, and deployed too late to change Germany's fate. Yet its impact on military history is immeasurable. This weapon proved that the future of infantry combat lay not in the powerful but slow bolt-action rifle, nor in the high-volume but short-ranged submachine gun, but in something revolutionary, a weapon that balanced firepower, range, controllability, and portability. The StG 44 changed warfare forever. It democratized firepower, giving individual soldiers capabilities previously reserved for crew-served weapons. It proved that infantry could be both mobile and deadly, capable of sustained automatic fire at combat ranges. Every assault rifle carried by soldiers today, from the jungles of Southeast Asia to the deserts of the Middle East, from European armies to African militias, owes its existence to the revolutionary design pioneered 80 years ago by German engineers. The Sturmgewehr 44, the first modern assault rifle, the weapon that changed everything and truly the father of the AK-47 and all assault rifles that followed. Its legacy is written not just in history books, but in the fundamental way modern infantry fights. This has been the story of the StG 44, a weapon born of war, forged in desperation and destined to transform the battlefield forever.